Hey y'all, Jason here again from the D2. We had an awesome time in August at the D2 Vienna, and it was so great to see so many of you there. As a little bonus to everyone, we are releasing some selected talks from the conference right here on our channel. When we were preparing the schedule for the conference, Eric Broche was kind enough and brave enough to be the final speaker. Therefore, to reward his bravery, we will release his talk before anyone else. But first, have you ever found yourself wishing you could insert a high-quality cutout of Fabio, Christian, or myself into one of your visualizations? Well, now you can. The fantastic folks at VisUtil took a bunch of great photos of D2 attendees and have released it as a free collection. Not only that, but they are offering 20% off all of their high-quality cutout collections in their online store for a limited time. You can find a link to the D2 collection and the 20% code right there below in the description. And now, let's get on with the show. The one and only Eric Broche. I'll see you for the next one.
Let's hear it for Eric Broche.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Okay, so it's on me to screw it completely now. I'm absolutely terrorized because this is the toughest audience I ever had in my life. I'm not talking about you, but because there is my son over there. He's 12 and I'm his father, and it's not going to be easy. So here comes the worst moment of your journey, which is me. So I will screw everything entirely. Okay, so let's, I know that you want to have beers and everything. I have to admit that I did everything that I should not have done yesterday, which is normally going back home and take it easy and not drink alcohol and everything. Managed to dance like a moron until the middle of the night, got super drunk. Everything's complicated now. So I think that to me, it would be easier if I was talking in French. Donc à partir de maintenant, je vais faire toute la conférence en français, putain de vous. C'est moi qui décide comment je vais faire les choses. En français. Merci, mon ami. No, okay, I will try my French, but sometimes I will have to mumble a little because of the alcohol that I took yesterday. So there will be slides where I will do like... Okay, so let's talk a little about this lecture. So this is the first time I'm doing this lecture, and actually it's kind of useful for me because there are a lot of questions I'm asking myself all the time. And this lecture is to answer this question. How do you see the future? It's the question that is always coming after what software are you using and how much do you charge by image? Per image? Always, like, how do you see the future? And very often I like, no idea. And starting to have an idea about it now, but I'm not sure. It's very, you will see, it's a very confused lecture because my head is a mess. I took too much drugs, listened to too much punk music and everything. So I'm not sure about what I will say, but I know that there is a bit of light into what I want to express. So let's start by the short answer. And I think I could seriously stop right now. So that's the future. Okay, that's what it is. And I'm not kidding, there is everything in there. It's a kid, he has a fucking glass on his head, adults. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with this GIF, I love it. I love it. When I have a little moment, you know, sometimes you have a little low, and that's the kind of GIF that makes me happy. This in kittens, I cannot resist kittens. So let's talk a little about me for the lot of you that are not knowing me. So, I was born in 71, the best year. The year where people were taking LSD in the apple juice. Where my mother, that never wore an afro, showed up on a picture. Yeah, that's me with a lot of hair. It's actually my favorite picture of myself, because there is a whole story in there. It's blurry as hell. I don't know who took this picture. I don't know why my mother is in a bikini wearing an afro. No idea. And I don't know if I'm terrorized, like, God, what the fuck is happening in there, or if I'm happy. But there is everything. If you look carefully, there is this thing that is with that, redundant to that. There is Toulouse-Lautrec. There is my mother with an afro. She doesn't remember at all why she was wearing an afro when she was in bikini. Something that we have to discuss before she dies. I was born in the Cité Radieuse in Marseille. which kind of is funny because I hated Le Corbusier for like decades until I discovered actually it was not that bad. That was my room here. I was the weird kid. Normally, kids are drawing butterflies, flowers, house, and I was only doing geometrical figure. I was 3 years old. They were saying, like, don't you want to draw a butterfly or something? I go, fuck yourself. No kidding. I discovered that when you are punished, we are not obliged to go to school at all. So it was, the Broche, go. Okay, gladly. Let's do more geometrical figures. It was a wonderful period as well because, can you believe it? There were a billion of people watching chess on TV. When you see TV right now, I mean, that's wonderful. Wonderful. This is my first computer, advertised by a rapist. Damn it, I knew it. The guy in the TV show is a fucking gynecologist. Can you, seriously? I mean, who choose that as a profession? You're an architect, I don't know. You're gynecologist, like moron. I was loving the games. I was loving the covers of the game because this really had a huge impact on me because that was the cover of the game and that was the game. And I think I'm still seeing architecture that way. I mean, I like better the cover of the game than the game itself. It was a huge effort. You have to be brave to endure this. The attack, it was the cover was with UFOs and everything. Yeah, I was the first one using a computer to do my diploma at the School of Architecture. And this was one of my greatest moments. It was my father was also drawing. He was teaching history of architecture and everything. And then I discovered that computers could do shadows, and you were not having to do descriptive figures and everything. I was so happy. Life changed when shadows were done by computer. There's nothing better than shadows done by computer. On this computer, 16 megabytes of RAM. And now people are complaining when graphical cards are only 11 gigabytes. And motherfuckers. Okay, so I started in 1999 Oralab, then did Luxigon. I'm still working as an architect, doing projects, not very good ones, so it's better that I do images. Also started the Nirvana, which is a bit on store, and I'm also doing a lot of music because, damn, there's not enough to do with just architecture, visualization, and everything. So I do images. That's a few images that I did over the years. I will go quickly through that because it's not really interesting. But the truth is that I'm seeing the office and myself more as graphic artists than CG people. I don't give a fuck about technology and everything. I'm slow as hell. I think that the collage is 10 times more elegant than super realistic renderings, although I understand the point of realistic renderings, but not really. So there's my son everywhere. So my son, your game is to find you on every image I did. Yeah, I can do that as well. Yeah. Like just a single slit. It's well paid, these sort of images. People are super enthusiastic. Like I found a plugin that is using the water. It takes 5 seconds. Love it. I like dark, so this is a dark one. And yeah, Kira, you're here. I think that, and one of the reasons I like doing these images because I think they age better than finally the images that are relying on technology. So the idea from point one, I mean, if I have to have a strategy, a bit like Justin Bourne said, my strategy is to try to have, by the way, I disagree entirely to whatever he said. I like the guy, but I'm running an office for 20 years, and the ping pong table is the most important cultural event I can have. And all the rest, like journey through my life, tennis table, man! And it's trying to do graphic, Kira. It's trying to do images that are actually more illustration. So I consider myself not a CG guy, but more like an illustrator. Doesn't mean that I don't know how to do realistic images, because seriously, it takes 5 minutes. Hey, you guys, try Octane. Seriously, it's 5 minutes. I was so worried when I seen Depth of Field. It's just I was using the wrong software. 2 hours, you're good to go. I'm not kidding. Yeah, I did also architecture. So this is a project that we designed with Paul Andreu for the George Lucas Museum, which permits me to meet George Lucas. He's actually a bit shorter than me, and he's wearing jeans from the 90s. Love it. He's incredibly smart, but I don't know for real because we didn't really talk. This is the only building that I want to build, the Church of Satan in Los Angeles. I did a little animation. The sound, can I have the sound a bit? Man, the sound. Someone from the sound, goddammit! They all get, Fabio, you are screwing it. I know, but because without the music means nothing. Look. Okay, maybe it's my fault finally. Yeah. Take that.
Hello. Hi. The Church of Satan. This is a bad church. It's mean people inside this church.
Thank you. That's exactly the music. Okay, we are going. I need the sound. So maybe plug that. No, I mean Satan, serious matter. You don't fuck up with Satan. I have my card member of the Church of Satan. This is the coolest card you can have. You can enter everywhere. Is it solved? No. Jason, solve it. No, you don't go drink a beer outside now. You solved that problem. Everybody's about the D2, cool dudes. You're a bit too cool, man, if you want my opinion. Okay, we are stopping to check if it's working. I insist on technology, okay?
Okay, Justin, the guy you don't agree with,
Right?
he has the solution.
No, I love you, man. Damn, you're tall.
It's in French.
Yeah, it's the same as in English. That's the beauty of live shows. I mean, there's always something that is not working. Shall I start rapping? Oh, man. Yeah, well, I'm starting, okay?
Okay, let's try it now.
Can we try it again?
Oh, yeah.
It works?
We're ready. Go.
Go.
Click.
Thank you, man. I miss you, man. It's all done on the OpenGL from the... No shadows were used. And I went a bit berserk on the helicopters. The Church of Satan. Come to the dark side. Better with the sound, right? Okay, that works. Thank you, Justin. I agree with everything you said now. It turns out that my favorite drawing is this one from Miss Van der Rohe. I think that this is expressing the building and the idea much better than finally even the final project. This is because of this drawing that I managed to do, CG or visualization instead of being an architect. I mean, I don't see the point of waking up in the morning and having tons of problems in the legal aspect where you can express yourself in a few lines. I'm also doing a bit of, it's my favorite, also doing a bit of sketches sometimes. It was a special OMA, and this is the game that I'm looking people to develop it. It's Sad Pong. Means that nothing really works. I don't, it's the most depressing game. You have an enormous console, it's super expensive, but it doesn't work. Love it. Mining cons, little stuff, I mean, this and that. It's a bit of real-time 3D. I'm also teaching a class at Harvard for like 5 years now. Immersive landscape that is all about, the future. I will show you the little movie that I did.
Il fait sombre. Je suis désolé. On ne voit pas quand il fait clair. Attends. Je m'appelle le fantôme de Roy Lacombe. Je suis l'unique habitant de ce grand endroit vide. On ne sait pas dire ce qui est près de ce qui est loin ici. Tout est lourd et lent et flasque. Et puis il y a ce brûlement continuel. C'est comme manger du sable. Écoute. Je flotte lentement. Je m'ennuie. Je me sens lugubre. C'est une immense page. Je ne sais pas par où tu es rentré, mais c'est agréable de parler à quelqu'un. J'ai de grandes idées de décoration, tu sais. J'imagine des mènes colorés qui pulseraient lentement. La pluie viendrait du sol et du ciel tomberaient des éclats de cristal. Si j'ai des idées en l'air comme ça, rien de bien précis, on a encore le temps d'y penser. Ensuite, il faudra certainement organiser les choses au plus grand. Créer des édifices immenses et des forêts mystiques. On abritera les univers simultanés persistants et on mettra les rideaux et les jardinets ici et là pour qu'on se sente chez soi. On ne mourra jamais, mais on devra peut-être travailler avec des gens de Facebook. C'est toi qui vois. Fiche trop bleu. Il est encore des ennemis là. Et il faudrait mieux disparaître.
I like when it ends. So yeah, normally the classes are advertised with a guy behind a desk that is speaking Latin. And this was something a bit different, so the students are super excited. Now I have to work my ass to have it done. So let's do it. So what are the different methods of representation? To me, that's something that is really important. If you have to know the future, you have to know a bit of the past. So there are different methods of representation. I will do them fast. So first is the text. I think the text is one of the most efficient way of representing space. Damn, I like when I sound serious. It's one of the most efficient way of describing space. Because you use your imagination. Well, there are only a few flows that it has to be translated, needs a bit of culture and everything. But when you say to someone, it's an enormous white building, people are way better than computers to imagine them. But this is not something, and it's funny because now I work for like 20 years in CG, 25. And it's funny that from all the media, this is the most underestimated of all. Architects are not writing anymore. This is why we are doing the job that we are doing, because they're too lazy to actually, write something. There is code as well. So code is also, belonging to text, and it's an extremely effective way of describing geometry. That's the ancestor of processing here by John Maeda from the MIT. That it can be seen as a score. So this is really nice. This is why I only like punk rock, but I have to say that I enjoy very much the music sheets because they can be played forever. There is not one single interpretation. And it's something that I find incredibly interesting. That's why Mozart finally will be more famous than the Beatles, even though he didn't know it. Sometimes I think about Mozart, all the crappy Chinese stuff that are doing Mozart. I can imagine if he was coming back. There were all this Chinese stuff that are turning with Mozart on it. I wonder what he was thinking about. Okay, so that's my music. Bling, 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 bling. Think about it. Think about it. So there are the images. Images are the one that we are working because it's probably the more commonly accepted and the easiest way to translate an information, especially about space. So this is why the first thing that we sent in space were actually a bit of music. And this diagram that I find super interesting because even if you don't know what it's all about, you figure out what it's all about. Then there was, the quality is not great. Guys, can you fix the quality? Fabio! No, I'm kidding. No, then there is something that is also great with drawings is that the colors. You can describe a space through the colors, just knowing that there will be the things in the back will be faded and the things in the front will be not, and also the adding detail. So it's extremely interesting when you work always to know that there's ways of representing something, and very often we stop at the easiest one, but there are other things that we are not using as much as we should. Then there is the perspective, which is fantastic because it was a fight against God. It means that nature was belonging to rules of geometry and finally not just being, spirited. Thank you, Satan, for bringing perspective. But the problem is that it's still flat. It's an illusion of space, but it's not technically really space. Beautiful drawings that can be extremely misleading. I don't know if you've seen the Voynich. Voynich is a codex that nobody really figured out what it was exactly. It's a mystery for like centuries. And it's funny because when graphics are serious, you assume that they are right. It's interesting. It was super interesting when he said we moved there. They are hyper-realistic images, but finally he moved the bed on the right. So they were not hyper-realistic. The way they looked well, but finally there were a lot of cheating into it. Also, funny enough, cartoons that can describe a space extremely accurately and even better when you take the Watchman. It's something that we are not using. I wonder why there's this need for only the same thing over and over. I don't know if I will be very interested with doing cartoons on architecture, but well, that's an option. Then you have the 2.25D. It's like the kids when you say, are we arriving? Yeah, of course. 225, 250. So they are the movies. So movies are super interesting because they give a lot of information to space through movements, but also through time. And also they are bringing something that is entertaining your brain. So it means that you are starting to believe what you are seeing because it moves accurately. This is one of the biggest forms of manipulation ever, as you know. And that's why Google invented YouTube. We are all movies, also a lot of the CG stuff, thanks God. Not everything is evil. Then you have the 2.5D. This is screen real-time 3D. So it means that you have an impression of 3D, but finally you are not really in a 3D space. But it's nice because it's because you understand space much better. I'm a fan of golf games. If you can kill animals, it's my favorite thing, trying to shoot birds. But then this is interesting because golf, for example, really needs a 3D space to work accurately. So there are things that needs a 3D space. Then you have the 2.75D, which is the real-time 3D with a device, which is kind of nice, but you feel immediately a bit nauseous. And you are the only one. It's terrible. This is the game that a friend did me. Like, look at that, you will like it. And they kept the thing on my head. I was like, stop it, your mother, stop it. It's terrible. If you want to make people sick, you say, look at that, you will like it. And then you the glasses on the head and stop it. And also for IKEA, that's the augmented reality, the weirdest thing ever, augmenting reality. They have nothing to do, these people. And then there is the 3D. So different form of 3D are the real scale model. At the beginning, I was choosing an architectural project, showing, but finally, I think that people are having fun with trains are way more funny. Well, sorry, okay. Look at this dude, he's so happy because he has a whole world in front of him. So it's interesting because your body is engaged with a real scale model. This is why when you are planning to attack, for example, a country, you put large maps and everyone is turning around. Now, why are you laughing? You find war funny? This is what you're saying? You enjoy it? Damn you. Satan's work. So it's a very interesting, I think this is also something that is a bit underestimated, the power of a real scale model. The only problem is that you have to make an effort to understand at what scale you are. So this is probably one of the limitations. But then you can also change it with a different process like this one. But ideally, I think that we are going into this direction, so I'm sure you've seen that. I think that this is the only best 3 minutes in the whole movie. Blade Runner 2049. 2049. It's not far away, huh? 49, coming. That's real-time 3D modelization. I love this little device.
Dr. Anastaline?
A visitor.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is one of the most remarkable ones. And funny enough, we are not far in terms of technology. I've seen things at the MIT that are absolutely incredible. So they are not technically holograms, they are projection and everything, but there's a bit of holography into it. And I think that is something that can come in let's say in a few years. So having a space that can be occupied, of course you will have the problem of displacement, then things can move with you if that's necessary. And this is probably something that will describe architecture the best. There will be still a problem of scale at some point, because if you have to show a gigantic towers, not everything is for everything. But if you know a bit the rules of perspective, you can fake nearly everything. So I think this is where it's heading. But now there is even better. The drugs. Yeah, so let's keep the complicated stuff, like you fucking give drugs to kids. And we're good. I mean, this is working. And this is what is going to happen. So you can see the problems that it will have. I mean, watch this. When I was preparing the lecture, I had to watch this thing like 10 times. I was dizzy as hell. It's too bad it cannot be bigger. But this is also a way of describing space, because it means that everything is going through, let's say, this is where I mumble, because I cannot find my word in English. It's the feeling that your brain develops actually doesn't need a real input from the exterior. It means you can recreate entirely a world in people's mind. I will show you a few examples of that if you don't believe me. Okay, so we have two options now. Either we represent things, and we have a few technology for that. So we have the Evil Building Information Modeling, the BIM, which will be the rise of Autodesk if you manage to install it. Because this is where they are not that evil finally, because they want to conquer the world, but nobody can install it or upgrade it. Or even log to their own accounts. I can hear from you that, it happened to me. It's not wrong what he's saying. So if you want to work for the future, get rid of Autodesk. You motherfuckers! Oh God, I feel to rap now. So Revit. But they have a rendering solution. At some point, everything that you're doing, you don't want to change the radio by flowers, the BIM will do it. That's the truth, huh? You have the AI denoiser, which means that images I was not believing it when I've seen it. Like you do an entire movie in like real time. just because it interprets the frame after from the frame before, and he needs a few frames in the middle and go for it. So it means that no more rendering times, means more times for comments. You see where we fucked ourselves up? Yeah, the real-time ray trace. That is going to be awful. What did you say, clients? What did you say, real-time? Interesting. Can we sit by you and discuss? Oh, no, please, no. Yeah, do that. Change the radio by flowers. No, I can't see. Yes, you can. Of course you can. The parallel computing, even faster than real-time. It's done before you think about it. Damn, who doesn't want that? Eh? You geeks. That's what you want. You want to get married, have kids, have a nice life. What you want is 4 Tesla cars at the same time. But this is terrible. It means that everything will go fast. And funny enough, architects should go slow. This is because they don't think accurately. My God, I'm not impatient. Wait for it. Where do you think it's leading? Yes, real-time 3D. So there is no way you are going to escape real-time 3D. Just because of this movie. I think you've seen it already because Unreal is massively here. You've seen it, right?
What's the story with all the elevators lately? I heard Kylo Ren destroyed the one over in D sector.
If you ask me, who's ever in charge of this place should be transferred to Hoth. What? What?
I love it. The music in the
You think she heard us?
Yeah, I think she heard us.
At least we blend in for once.
Yeah, so I didn't, well, it's because of the 4 Tesla cards and a bit of help from, But the fact that it was done real time, it's just unbelievable because it's more realistic than realistic. I mean, it's even better than something that will be pre-computed, or it's just insane because you can actually have actors that are playing. The interactivity is incredible, and the graphical aspect of it is just unbelievable. So I wonder we're still using complicated software where we can do everything in 3D. Although, Unreal people, your interface is the ugliest interface on the market. Really, do something. It's
Snowdrop
But there's
is
even
one
worse
of the
than
most flexible engines that I've worked with. It's always been
Softwares that
about
will
giving
permit
power to the
to kill
developer
people
and
in
letting
real
them
time.
come up with creative ways to solve problems.
That's a baby for Massive, one of those big creations that we're proud of.
All the tools share a common core. What you see is what you get.
It really feels like a tool that was built for artists.
So the philosophy is that we try to make all the iteration times and all the workflows as short as possible because we value our artists and our programmers' time.
Have you seen how cool they are?
If
They
something
are
is
not
slow, we will
panicking
work on it
anymore.
and make it better for you.
Everything is real
It all
time.
goes back to that iteration time. How do we make that faster?
Yeah, we'll
The
make
UI of
everything
Snowdrop,
explode.
it's consistent across various
okay.
different tools. So it allows you to go from creating a prop to scripting a level, and the environment feels the same. And we work really hard to make sure that it stays consistent so you feel comfortable and you spend less time clicking around in menus trying to guess where is
Everyone
this
is
thing.
slow.
And having
We told
designers
them,
here to help
go
us with
slow.
that makes it even better.
Developers are the users. What we create is just for them. How can we make them more efficient and eliminate unnecessary steps in their work?
We want them to be happy, we want them to work, not wait.
Having tools which allow
Okay,
developers to iterate quickly is key. Construction Graphs is a good example. It allowed us to cut down the time it would take to prop a street, and it gave us more variation when building the world.
We try to make Snowdrop scalable and not over-engineer it. Snowdrop is being developed for the specific purpose of making a game. At Massive, We try to keep the game always playable. This is really important because it ensures that we can always test things. We provide all the pieces that you will need when building a game.
For example, the Snowdrop in-engine profiler gives the necessary performance and memory tracking tools that the programmers need to find hotspots in the code and to fix them. It runs at all times. It's always available. You can always open it up and see what is going on in your application and in your code.
One of the most exciting things we implemented for the engine for the division was the destruction system. We'd add one node, adjust some settings, and you get the procedural destruction system taking care of most of the work for you. I think some of the coolest stuff with destruction we were able to do was like the planks splitting apart when they would get shot and just falling with the physics attached to them.
Everything.
Or the tiles in the subway, being able to shoot them and a chunk of the tile falling off. Like that all comes from having this
The obsession.
procedural destruction system already there, and it looks really good.
Another example of tech that we developed in Snowdrop to support the game is snow painting.
The snow painting allows the artist to paint in the level, and then our shaders will pick up on that and cover the ground with snow or water. And that combined with the screen space node gives us the overall look.
The Snowdrop engine can be used both for a third-person shooter like The Division, as well as 2D animated games like South Park.
We think that the other teams at Ubisoft are interested in our engine because you can do many things with it, and due to its modularity and its philosophy, other teams find it good to use for very different purposes.
We would like to make sure that those teams are also comfortable working with it, that they're efficient, that it meets their needs regardless of what the project is.
Snowdrop development hasn't stopped with shipping The Division.
One of the exciting things is that Snowdrop is always evolving.
Okay, so now you get even more worried. People will paint snow real time. Which means that the change of the season is one brush away. I love this movie because everybody's super calm. I don't know if you've visited sometimes a game studio. It's not at all like that. Huh? People are under the tables, everybody's drugged, they have eyes red. But in this movie, everybody's super calm, like, ooh, ooh, that's nice. Let's put a building over there. Okay. Okay, so there is no way you will escape real-time 3D because it covers everything. So it means that you can do an image, you can do an animation, and you, of course, can do a real-time 3D. And you know how much clients love these funny glasses. So you're screwed. You can give up on everything you were doing. It's time to use Unreal or Unity, which has a much better interface. Of course, there will be also the stream render, which is terrible. So it means that your computer will send the image to a massive mainframe that will send it real time. It's a terrible idea as well for many reasons. First is safety and all this sort of stuff. But it's also, it also means that the software, you know, most of you are young, but some of you are not. There was the idea that you have a computer that is extremely light, that doesn't need, because ecologically, using these enormous computers made absolutely no sense. The thing is that you should be able to see what you're doing, and all the computing things should be sent to a big mainframe that will send back the information. Means that you don't have to upgrade constantly. It means that there is no way you are going to crack the software anymore. Which is good, because it means that there will be a lot less people doing our job. Because if I honestly ask who is using crack software here, yeah, see, you are all nice people, eh? I don't believe it at all. Or there is the cluster, a bit like the Bitcoin, so it means that there will be a power, all the machines will render together, and it will be incredible, and we will not be dependent from software company anymore. Although one software company will have the one in the middle, and it will stop everything. So it's good if we start on the Bitcoin aspect, that nothing can stop the transaction. This is I'm kidding, but at some point our tools are very dependent from the software developers. And it's important as well for, you know, just for the sake of it, and for Satan, that we are not too dependent on the softwares. Damn, so what can we do, are you asking, because you want to know the future? And I will tell you, you have to be patient, because goddammit, you will have a lot of comments, a lot of them, because there will still be clients. Well, unless we remove them from the equation. You have to find your style because it's nice, all this technology, but finally, if everybody is doing the same thing, it's a bit boring and it will be difficult. So finding your style is something as well that you have to try by yourself. And it's not that easy. It takes a lot of time. You have to find new method of representations. This is something that I'm working at Harvard about, is that the architecture right now is so complex that finally we are showing it with images because nobody could understand a plan, a section, or an elevation. But maybe there are other ways of representing what is very complex. There are a few ideas about that, but it's nice if you think by yourself. But I think that there is a real potential finding a way of, I would even say, make architecture better instead of make architecture prettier. And it's going through the method of representation. Or develop new skills, because everything will be done real time. So it's maybe time to learn coding, yeah, it's not working super well, but the guy is working on it. Huh? Hey, yes, time, everything's real time now. So we can still cheat a little about that, but you can start selling assets, because that's a very good business right now, because people are too lazy to model anything, so they take everything from, here you go, the rocks and the trees, and all the projects are looking the same, but I think it's a very promising future. I choose the voodoo stuff because I thought at some point you will have enough of Satan. Or you find a new job, which I recommend to most of you. Now that I can advertise to 400 people, quit. Live it. Do what Justin said. Find your own truth. Travel to fucking India. And it's getting worse. Because when you think that the real-time 3D thing is the problem, not at all. Good news is that probably we doing representation are going to have less problem architects themselves, because this is what is going to happen. I want a house like the Villa Savoy, but taller. Artificial intelligence. Bling, 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 bling. No problemo. And it turns out that I've seen that for real. I have seen that for real, that you can give the budget that you have, the terrain that you have, how much time you have to do the stuff. You can say, I want it a bit like the Villa Savoy and everything, and the computer will just spit exactly what you need. Yeah, perfect on the terrain, taking into account the winds, the weather solution, blah, blah, blah. Whoop, done. Architects are very worried. Thanks God, I'm not doing architecture anymore. Or AI doing Rembrandt. So they took, this is incredible, you have to see the website. I wonder if it's really true, because there is Microsoft involved. So when there's Microsoft, I'm never too sure that it's really true. But they took the painting from Rembrandt, like a lot, fit it into a computer that did some sorts of balance and normal about all the paintings, and spit out a painting that is incredibly resembling a Rembrandt, and it was printed in 3D, so you even have the brushes and the... So it was, even the specialists from Rembrandt couldn't really say if it was a fake or if it was not. And this is really interesting as well, because it means that everything that you are going to see on TV or on YouTube or whatever will be fake. Really, everything. There is not a single real Apple on TV. There is not a single real car on TV. Everything is fake. I'm worried about that. Okay? I'm worried. I'm an age where I'm a bit worried about these sort of things. Okay? I'm worried about you guys. Because you believe it. Or even worse, the attentive image generation, which means that literally you can describe a scene and the computer will reconstitute it. Literally, so you describe, well, I'm sorry, it's a bit of a shitty thing, but maybe you can all move there to see it on the screen where actually you can read. But you just describe the computer what you have, and he's doing the image that fits it. So it's taking every word, and has a lot of, complicated, networks. And in the end, can do a kite on the beach. Sometimes not super accurately, but it's a good start. I want my mother with a bus. Oh, goodness. Maybe the Afro picture is coming from this creepy mind of a computer. I think the best way to understand really what AI is doing is to listen to sound. I think that in images, not that obvious what it is doing, but I like it a lot in sound. So with sample AI, and then they feed the computer with a voice, with a piano from Mozart, and with a symphony. And the computer was not, there is no rules of music involved. It was just replacing the samples where it was looking the most obvious. So no understanding of whatever is music, no rules, no nothing. So you will see, it's super freaky. This is where we are right now. It's getting better. I mean, 1 year it will be incredible, but just so you know, okay? So the voice.
Into the sun soil could be electricity indies of that. You the color from your light of black fight. Cutting this, the focus goes outside the stitch. Oh, yeah, this is third action.
So it sounds like someone is talking, you understand nothing, that's normal, but it's just a reconstitution of what is the most plausible sample after the previous one. The piano is incredible because it's even having the reverb from the... I think I should start. This is a kind of music that I would love to hear. Music that is never ending, completely confusing and sad. You will see what sad means with Mozart. That's the sound of the future, ladies and gentlemen. Very depressive music. It's like a music that wants to kill itself. It's never ending. It's the most plausible sample. So this is where I am with imaging as well, because now...
The progress with the assistant. As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way.
In a good way.
Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have at 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
You understand what it means. Comments will be made by... And this is going to be fucking freaking hell. Because AI will do images and another AI will comment it. And we will be at the beach. Who will pay? Nobody knows. But that is going to be extremely... And this is the freakiest thing I've ever seen. So you will have people on the phone, they are not real people. So we are trying to trick them, but sometimes they will be real people. I don't know if an AI, for example, you can say, "Yo, nigger," doesn't really count, it's not really racist, because she's an AI. Would she take it wrong or not? I wonder. It will be an interesting time. But get ready that I have all the comments made by an AI. More flowers. Okay. What time, you said? More flowers. And you can have a fully, really, a computer entirely, a Raspberry Pi style that is developed to only handle artificial intelligence for like nearly $25. So it means that it's going to be freaky, really freaky. We will have nothing to do. I'm not kidding, I'm seeing it coming. So you don't have to worry anymore about anything. We are out of everything. Nothing we will have to do ourselves anymore. That's the good news. And then, you are not believing it, but this is true. A bunch of scientists in the University of Tokyo, I think, managed to use your brain waves to actually represent images. So they show you an image, and just with the brain wave, they can reconstitute something that is very close to the image itself. So it means that now you will have to only think about a building, and bim, I would say, Autodesk will render it for you. You just think about it. I want a cathedral. Zillion of Chinese guys constructing it. Sorry for Chinese guys, I mean, it's a way of, okay, that was rude. So tons of French guys. It's not going to happen because we are striking. We strike. Every time there is a job to do, we strike. Do it. Nah, strike. There is another option. And this is no kidding, I've seen the light. I had a dream. It's invent. Because we, as architects, for a lot of us and graphic artists, have the opportunity to invent new worlds. And for a good reason. We have developed skills for world observation. We can accurately articulate reality and vision. We have a fairly good understanding. We are the architects of the next step. Fuck you, gravity. And I'm not kidding. We are the only profession that actually can literally change the world. Because this good old world that you know is boring. Everything will be handled by an AI and everything. But there are other worlds that we can create that needs the exact same amount, I would say, of reality in a way, that need a good graphical transcription and probably a free funding myth to make it happen. And there are a lot of use for this because fear, empathy, logic, sadness, everything you have, for example, in a game is accurately the same as the one you are having in reality. So when you have empathy in a game, it's exactly the same form of empathy that you have in reality. So it means that 99%, 90% of what you have, of course, except death, exhaustion. For example, I can ride a horse in a game. Well, for real, I can't. Well, I wouldn't even try, like nasty animals. The only stupid animals that are walking for you, I mean, seriously. But there is a lot of interest. So this very bad book coupled with an even bad movie, even worse movie, but it's not far. This is really what's going to happen because the fear of terrorism, the fact that we have, in terms of ecology, a huge impact will need that we move less and that we stay closer to our own boundaries. So it means that there are buildings that are completely irrelevant, like churches, for example, that will need to be replaced by their virtual counterparts. Because if you think that a mass with 1 million people is enough, I mean, if I was a good Christian, I would want a mass with 2 billion people at the same time. And this is going to happen. Because there are a lot of things that are not relevant anymore, because they are made of reality, and a lot of the spirit that we have doesn't need reality to be expressed. This is why I made this little joke in my movie for Harvard that you have to work with people in Facebook, because they are the ones that are building the new religions. Virtual counterparts for everything. I designed the new logo for Facebook. There will be new cults that are less dangerous than the real cults. You can use it for, you can go back to Paris in the, I don't want to say the date because I forgot. It's written there. In the medieval ages, let's put it that way. You can bomb city. preferably in the Middle East. Sorry, guys. You can cheap tourism. I mean, super annoying. They lose your luggages all the time. This is what you want is being in a corner of a room and look at the Eiffel Tower. And you have to queue for 5 hours, and then finally, when it's your time, we strike. And no, we strike. Or completely future world that will be the virtual tourism. Why the hell would I want to see there what everyone has seen? So I choose the one from Simon Stalenhag, but here, well, you cannot read, I also said Thomas Dubois and my dear friend Victor. Actually, it would fit perfectly. But this would be fantastic to discover a completely new lands that nobody has seen before. And yeah, we can invent them entirely. It can be linked to reality. So we can really, we have the technology now to idiot. It's one of the most cruel jokes ever. To build multiverse. Because you take World of Warcraft. It's not persistent, so it means that this universe, when you log off, it means that it stops for you, it's always in the present, okay? So it means that nothing is happening when you're not here. But there are MMORPG that are persistent, so it means that if you log off, the universe still doing stuff, which is kind of, I played this game for 6 months, I never was so worried. Really, the idea that there is a virtual universe that is, doing stuff when I'm not here is panicking. Funny enough, when I was doing that, the real universe was doing things when I was not here. I was not panicking at all. Go figure. And the fact that, like No Man's Sky, you can have a procedural generation, which means that basically you can build an entire universe with the founding myths and procedural generation, means that you have an infinite universe. And there is something that is not, well, yeah, of course, you will say, like, but what about Second Life? Some of you know Second Life? Okay, I will show you for those who don't know. This is probably my favorite movie to watch with a joint, okay? The reality of Second Life is that it looks like that, which is very close to that, which is around the Bahnhof in Hamburg, crossed with this, which is 3D done in Poser. So the problem with Second Life is, Second Life still is, because there are still idiots that are using it, is a persistent universe that was really trendy in, I don't know, 2004, 2005. It was persistent. You could have your own life over there, and you were looking all like these crazy creatures that you've seen. It never really worked because actually it's too ugly. And no kidding, we need a bit of taste at some point. So this is where I think that it falls short just because it was based on the idea of earning money, one, and second, it was also terribly ugly. The best parts are looking like Monaco, so you know what. There is so Star Citizen is probably the closest thing to what I'm talking about. They are developing it right now. It's Robert's space industry. It's funny because the guy is really Roberts. I think the ego is enormous, but it's really interesting because it's a persistence universe. You have exploration, and it's actually kind of looking extremely good. The main problem with this sort of thing is that the development time is so huge that the technology that they are using is very often outdated when the final product is. So this is something that needs to be worked. Is how much you can upgrade it, upscale the technology constantly when you are developing something. That will be one of the main issues. I would say the technical issues are not only this one. So why living in a boring reality? Because this is going to be necessary at some point. Because, for example, sick people, for once, I'm not kidding. Look, I have little tears here. So sick people that are bored to death in their bed. Old people that are bored to death by principle because they've seen enough of this shit. And she's saying, I want to get up. No, you stay here. Stay put. Move not. Handicapped people. Autistic kids. Soldiers, because really seriously, you spend 2 years in Iraq, you need trees at some point. Huh? And this is what the virtual universe can do. It's also good for inmates, because you can understand the freedom deprivation. I don't know if it's rightly said in English, but at some point you need to explore something because this is the basic nature. And funny enough, it's not at all developed in any way, which I find well. It's not that I like people that are in jail, but I think they need a little of bit of excitement. Or for, of course, space travel, because when we will travel to Mars at some point, we also need to see trees and explore things that are actually more relevant to what we are doing. So, and this is a film that is entirely empty. Nobody is working on it. To my greatest surprise, I'm teaching, so I know a little. I'm working at the MIT as well, and nobody's really into it. I wonder why, but I think it was time to do just an honorical experience. I mean, sometimes we need to dream. Or, for the less brave of us, LSD simulator. LSD being illegal, you can have a simulation of the LSD. And also because we will really need to occupy ourselves. Because there will be not any job for anyone. We will have to do something at some point. And this is where people will escape, or actually probably even can earn their life through virtuality. I'm not kidding. I mean, everything is kind of handled, and there will be no jobs anymore, because the couple of robots and AI will do nearly everything. So we have to work. So I never know how to end the lectures, so I think that my next lecture will be 3D in Poser. So this is my last slides, because there is something I enjoy more than anything, is watching 3D done by people in Poser. And this one is called After the Party. It looks very much like mass murdering, but I think they are very honest people when they do stuff. And voila, that is it, and now you can have beers. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There you go.